Hey, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to do something a little different, a really cool challenge, actually. We're going to build an entire story from just a single sentence. Yep, our only source material is the title itself. Let's see what we can dig up.
And here it is. This is our entire world for today's Explainer, the Village Glutton and the 100-dish challenge. That's it. That's all we've got to work with. But I think you'll agree, inside these few words, there's a whole narrative just waiting to be unpacked.
So that's the big question we're really digging into, right? What story actually lives inside this title? You should think of it like a mystery box. The label gives us some pretty juicy clues, and our job is to figure out exactly what's inside. So here's how we're going to tackle it. First, we'll talk about how a title can tell a story all on its own. Then we'll break down the three key pieces: the village setting, the glutton character, and of course, that epic challenge. And then at the end, we'll see what kind of story takes shape when we put it all back together. Okay, first up, a title's tale unpacking the narrative DNA. Because a really great title, it isn't just a label. It's more like the genetic code of the story. It sets our expectations, it introduces the conflict, and it gives us a little hint at the theme. All right, let's get into the setting. This is more than just a place. We're going to start with just the first two words of our title, because right there, they establish the entire stage for all the drama that's about to unfold. So, you gotta ask, why a village? I mean, why not a city or a castle or a kingdom? What does this very specific setting immediately tell us about the story we're trying to find? Trust me, that choice is deliberate, and it is packed with meaning. Think about it. A village is basically a pressure cooker. It's a super close-knit community where, let's be honest, everyone knows everyone else's business. There's this shared history, which means every action is judged against generations of tradition. This raises the stakes like you would not believe. An event like a 100-dish challenge, that is not a private affair. No way. It's a public spectacle where a reputation is either made or completely broken. The whole community is both the audience and the jury. Now, let's move on to our main character. A study in extremes is a good way to put it. Now that we have our setting, let's meet our protagonist, or, maybe our antagonist. The word glutton comes with some serious baggage. The dictionary defines it as an excessively greedy eater, someone who just indulges to excess. And our immediate reaction probably is negative. We picture someone selfish, right? A drain on the whole community's food supply. But, and here's where it gets really interesting, is that the only way to see this character, could a glutton actually be something more? This one question is really the central conflict of our character's whole identity. And this lays out the two completely opposite paths for a glutton. On one side, you've got the shadow self. They're selfish, a source of shame for the village. But what if they're a champion? What if their incredible appetite isn't a flaw, but some kind of divine gift? Maybe it's a symbol of the village's ability to celebrate and be abundant. The whole story really hinges on which version of the glutton we end up meeting. And that brings us to the main event, the thing that's going to decide the glutton's fate once and for all. Part 4, the epic challenge. This is the engine that drives our entire plot forward. It's a feast of consequences. 100. Just let that number sink in for a second. This is not a big dinner party. This is a culinary marathon. It's an almost mythical number, right? It suggests a feat of absolutely legendary proportions. The scale itself tells us this is a once-in-a-generation kind of event. And the title calls it a challenge. And that one single word, challenge, it transforms everything. This isn't just a celebration of eating a lot of food. It is a monumental trial. It's a test. There is something to be won or lost here, and the stakes are incredibly, incredibly high. And this opens up so many possibilities for the story. I mean, what does the challenge actually represent? Is it just a pure test of human endurance? Or maybe it's a grand harvest festival? Could it be a sacred ritual? Or what if the village's honor is on the line in a bet against a rival town? Each one of those options creates a totally different story. So let's bring it all home. Part 5, the story unwritten. We've taken the title completely apart, and now let's see what kind of story starts to emerge when we put all the pieces back together. So here we have it, the 3 core elements of a really powerful story.
You've got the setting, that tight-knit community where everyone is watching. You've got the character, a protagonist of extremes who could be a hero or a total outcast. And then you have the conflict, a legendary challenge that is going to force some kind of resolution.
And from these simple elements, all these classic dramatic conflicts just naturally arise. It's the individual versus the community. It's a story about scarcity versus abundance. It pits the village's old traditions against a brand new, unheard of feat. And really, it all boils down to a question of village honor versus personal shame. This is some rich, dramatic soil right here. At the end of the day, the entire meaning of the story rests on what happens at this feast. If the glutton succeeds, it's a heroic epic. The village celebrates its champion, a symbol of its strength and prosperity. But if they fail, it's a tragedy, a story of arrogance, shame, and waste. The ending that you imagine in your head, that defines the entire tale. And that leaves us with this one last thought. The story is unwritten. It's left for all of us to complete in our own minds. But maybe the most important question isn't really about the glutton's success or failure. Maybe it's this: what does the feast's outcome and the village's reaction to it, what does that truly say about the community itself? Their judgment, their support, or their condemnation? That, right there, might be the real story.